and airports and all that. There should be walking connectivity. It's already there. This is the formal economy and the informal economy that we are all aware of. We know that there is a formal economy and there is an informal economy. It's time that the two began to merge in some manner. In India, we calculate that our informal economy is twice that of the formal economy. Maybe it's the same in Bangladesh. Probably is because it's South Asia. And as Dr. Tanvir was mentioning, there are many reasons that we stop the connectivity. Though there is political will. In fact, I work with an organization called Cuts International now, and we've done a whole paper on connectivity of the BBIN region, where of course Bangladesh, Bhutan, India and Nepal. It's working, but the same point that is being raised out here. At the top level, we have all the signatures, but when it goes to the bottom level, things begin to change. And it is that change that we need to address much more than the top level. The political will is there, but that political will needs to be converted into reality. And it can be done. And Tanvir Saab, you were mentioning just now that the deficit between India and Bangladesh is growing, but let's remember, it's trade after all. Trade is value addition at different levels. The same garment example that you gave, you get cloth from India, you convert it into something and sell it in the US or sell it in Europe. But that value is not captured in the trade. It's not captured in the 12 billion deficit that you're talking about. It's not captured. So we need to understand that there are many aspects of trade which go beyond just numbers. And we have to recognize that the more we grow, the better we grow for everyone's sake, especially for the common man on the street. He is the one who needs it more than you and I need it. And that is going to happen. So we have an excellent session now on economic linkages and energy security. Energy security is something which we all know, and you have Bhaskar talk about it. Without energy, nothing happens. And I'm glad that this is being addressed in today's session. But one more thing that I want to leave with Biswajit to probably formally take up. We are doing this connectivity session with Bangladesh and Northeast, but we're forgetting that the conference is about ecology. So how do we link ecology and connectivity? Maybe your next conference should be ecology and connectivity, and find a link between the two. And that link is very important because it will recognize all the work that's happened in the last 2 days and will continue to happen tomorrow also, of how we make sure the connectivity that we are bringing about is eco-friendly. It is something which is sustainable and something which can actually happen in the right manner. So may I now call upon the other really, really good panel that we have here. We have Geetika Krishna. Is Geetika here? Please come. Please come. Invest India is a great organization, also set up by FICCI, by the way, initially, before you joined, that is. And now, of course, we have it going all over the place. So we have Geetika, and then we have a whole lot of Mr. Zaman and Mr. Bose and Mr. Miah and Mr. Phukan again and Mr. Saikia. So we have a wonderful panel. Please come. Please come and talk about the investment issue that you're going to address for all of us. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and namaskar. I'm Geetima Krishna, and I am from Invest India. So first of all, I would like to thank FICCI for giving me the opportunity to be in this wonderful session, and especially the topic. This is from Assam. But I did buy. How can I not? If this is my first time in Dhaka, I had to buy Jamdani. So I did that. That is one thing ticked off my box. So, and so it's a very important topic, and I'm glad to be here and glad to be in Dhaka. And but before I go into say something about it, I just want to say about one line about Invest India. I'm from Invest India, and it is the investment promotion agency of the government of India. So the main mandate is to bring in investment and generate employment. And I'm from the Northeast Desk. I had Northeast Desk. I'm based in Guwahati, and we were created last year. March 2021 we started. And so this is a very important topic for us to discuss: connectivity with Bangladesh, trade with Bangladesh, discovering opportunities with Bangladesh. But before I go into it, let me give a context, because I'm a macroeconomist by profession and I have to talk about the macro perspective before I talk about anything. But because I know Ambassador Tariq Karim has already beautifully talked about our history, so I want to talk about it in a very simple words, that we all know that modern day now, the West Bengal, the Bangladesh, Northeast India, and Myanmar, they were part of one geographical unit. They were ruled as one unit, which were big, economically vibrant, and filled with the movement of lot of people and goods. That is trade, and trade was supported by the multimodal connectivity system, both rail, water, and road. And the Chotagam port, Kolkata port, Yangon port, these were the ports which contributed to the development of the economy of this region. But post-independence, as we know, and you have already heard how it was one of the richest region during that time. Assam was one of the richest, and per capita GDP of Assam was actually higher than that of the average per capita GDP of all of India at that point of time. But then we had the independence in 1947, and this connectivity was hugely disrupted. So there were disruption of the inland water linkage, road linkage, railway communication, everything. The gateway to the trade from the Northeast India perspective. So let me speak from the Northeast perspective, because we have heard from the Bangladesh perspective. I want to speak from the Northeast India perspective. For the Northeast India, the trade is continuing still from the Kolkata port and Chottagam port, but then it continues through a narrow strip of land called Siliguri. You all know about it, which is called the Chicken Neck. It goes all the way. If it's something we have to send from even Agartala or Mizoram, it has to go all the way to the Siliguri and come down to Calcutta port, and then it can be like exported out from the port there. So it doesn't make sense. The transportation cost adds to the problem there, and this loss of connectivity resulted this. And not only the loss of connectivity, there were issues with security issues, there were law and order issues too. So these all contributed to a severe decay in industrialization of the whole northeastern region, and from 50s to 80s. But suddenly from 1991, it was recognized by the government of India that we should put more emphasis on Northeast region to economically integrate Northeast region to the rest of the country. So they had this Lucas policy, which was enhanced to Actis policy in 2014. And now, so because of that, this desk was created by Invest India for the Northeast region. So we are trying to bring in investment into the region. So it's not easy. That's what we found out. The problems has already been discussed in length. And these are the problems we already face. And as you can see, that we are the Northeast India. This region has become a landlocked economy. So we have the problems of landlocked economy. So we are more dependent on the natural resources, dependency on natural resource. We do not have investments, and because we do not have FDIs, there is no knowledge spillover or any transfer of knowledge that can lead to structural transformation of the region. So the main problem that we have is the geographical disadvantage, connectivity loss, and the high transportation cost, which leads to the high transportation cost. Even we have all kinds of like there are so many it's rich in agri products, but we cannot send these agri products to even we could not send it to Dubai. We could not even compete to send it to Dubai because of the transportation cost, because it adds to it. So how to overcome this? From the Northeast perspective, we need to overcome this. To need to overcome this, we have to improve connectivity, and we have to connect to the regional value chain, because we know the global value chain or regional value chain, whatever, we need to connect it to that from the Northeast region. And for us, what then comes is the Bangladesh. Because with Bangladesh, the northeast of India shares 1,800 kilometers of border from Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram. This is that much of border we have. But we have already seen in the previous discussion what is the condition of these land ports. Hardly any movement is happening. Most of the trade that is happening, that is informal trade. So that's what we need to develop these ports. And on the other hand, the Bangladesh has been doing terribly well. And we are so happy to see Bangladesh having such it has got the highest, one of the highest, fastest growing economy in this region. It has even outpaced its major peers like Vietnam, India, Thailand, and it is growing at as we have already been told, it is growing around 7.2% GDP growth. And the per capita income has also increased tremendously. It has moved from the low income to the middle income group. It is the same like India and other peers. So, I mean, that is the best news that can be for the Northeast region. We want Bangladesh to improve. We want Bangladesh to prosper so that we get connected to this prosperity. For us, our road to prosperity is only through Bangladesh. And for that, the connectivity needs to improve. Even for this conference, I had to come, I might spend whole day flying from Guwahati to Kolkata and Kolkata to Dhaka. Guwahati to Kolkata is 45 minutes and Kolkata to Dhaka is 30 minutes, but I started in the morning, reached in the evening. So the connectivity is so bad. So, I mean, and then trade, we talked about trade also. I don't want to go into it. There were so many numbers that was already said, but we know the trade with Bangladesh, whether export and import, we connected together. Bangladesh is one of the highest trade, it is the largest trade partner with us within the South Asian region, and also fourth largest in terms of exports. And this is the importance of Bangladesh for Northeast region has also understood by our leaders. The Prime Minister Modi, when he inaugurated the Maitri Setu in Agartala in 2021, he said that this will bring in a new chapter, I'm quoting him, new chapter for trade and people movement from India and Bangladesh. Entire region is being now developed as a trade corridor between Northeast India and Bangladesh. So we can see that the elephant is not being moved, or not only in Bangladesh, we are also trying to move the elephant from the Northeast region. So if we both of us try, I'm sure the elephant will start walking. So even in a recent meeting with Ministry of Donor, Kishan Reddy, Mr. Kishan Reddy, he had a meeting with Her Excellency Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, and they discussed of various possibilities, but the cooperation was mostly centered around Bangladesh and Northeast region. How Northeast region will bring in prosperity and opportunity to both the countries. So this is a session on power and energy, but in the session I saw the panelists which are experts on energy and oil. So I will leave those comments to those people to talk about oil and energy cooperation. But I would like to talk something about the tourism. I hope I have just couple of minutes, I will finish. Tourism is something like, there's a huge potential. I see huge potential in Bangladesh. I see huge potential in Northeast region. So I feel there are so much of similarity between both Bangladesh and the Northeast region in terms of both potential and challenges. We have the same challenges, we have the same potentials. But for Northeast region, we can offer various kind of tourism, from golf tourism, river tourism, tea tourism, adventure tourism, cultural tourism, festival tourism, anything, you name it, we have it. For Bangladesh too, there are a lot of potential there. I can see that because I have been Googling before coming to Dhaka about what are the things to see in Dhaka. So I know there are a lot to do in Bangladesh. And Bangladesh, I think about more than 4% of the GDP is contributed by tourism in Bangladesh. And government has recognized this and they are putting in more emphasis on this. And for this, there is an increase in footfall also in Bangladesh, and their ranking has also improved. Bangladesh ranking, but it is not enough. If you look at how India is doing, or Vietnam or Thailand is doing, their revenue from tourism is much more than what Bangladesh is. But you can compare Bangladesh with the northeast of India. Even though in India you say the tourism revenue is very high, northeast the tourism footfall is only less than 1% share of all India tourism. And so we also do not get that much of tourism, northeast region, even though we have huge potential. So in that way, we are kind of similar. And the problems are also similar. We have the perception of security. There is high cost for tourists, tourism infrastructure, deficiency of tourism infrastructure, and connectivity problem. Then most importantly, there is no promotion and marketing. In Guwahati, I haven't seen anyone promoting tourism from Bangladesh. Even in Bangladesh, I did not see anyone promoting tourism to northeast of India. Maybe you know about Taj Mahal, maybe you know about other places in, in India, but you don't know what is there in northeast. So there is a huge opportunity for there, and I think FICCI should do this. These are the low hanging things that can be done. The FICCI should do a buyer-seller meet for the tourism sector, where the tour operators from both the countries, like Northeast India especially, and come and they can meet each other. There can be government official, there can be B2B meeting, B2G meeting, and then there can be exchange of tour operators. They can see the places, so they can suggest it to their clients that these are the things that can be seen or done. So because I was very much interested to come and see Lal Bagh Killa, because I knew there was some connection between the Killa and the Ahom kings of Assam. But that day, yesterday night, I was discussing with Vishwajit, and he was asking what is the connection. So I went back and I searched, and I found the connection. I thought I read it somewhere, but I thought I'm just reading it because I found it yesterday. It's Pari Bibi's tomb in Lal Bagh Killa, right? Yeah, she's considered to be the daughter of Saista Khan, right? But according to the seminal treatise on the evolution of Dhaka as a city, Glimpses of Old Dhaka, which is written in 1952 by well-known chronicler from Bangladesh, Syed Muhammad Taifur. I'm sure you are aware of him. Puri Bibi was none other than Romani Gabhoru. Okay, Romani Gavaru is the only daughter of Ahom King Jayadhar Singha, 1648 to 1663, and the niece of greatest Assamese warrior Lachit Barfukan, whose 400 years birthday we just celebrated. And when she was all of 6 or 10, she was bought by Mughal General Mir Jubna from Guwahati as part of war treaty. And she was also accompanied by a minor princess. She was then under Aurangzeb's order. Ramani was converted to Islam, given a new name, Rahmat Banu, and in 1967 was married to the Aurangzeb's son as his first wife. Okay, the same story was portrayed in Ahom Rajkonna Bibi Poriri Samadhi by chronicler Begum Lutfunnisa Habibullah. I'm sure you're aware of these stories, or I don't know these names, but I'm not a great historian, but I like these stories. So if these stories are promoted in Guwahati or Assam, I mean, it's not only me, everyone would like to come. I would have loved to go to Lal Bagh Killa and pay my homage to Puri Bibi. There might be confusion. We do not know who she really is, but I would have loved to do that. And it opens up these small things. We have so much of shared history. We were, I mean, there is a cultural affinity. So I mean, there is a lot to share and lot to do, and we can just exploit these things to our advantage. And people to people connect is what we need to understand each other. I feel so much at home in Dhaka, so because I can speak Bengali, so it's easier. It's not my mother tongue, but I somehow manage, and it's okay. And so, and then the other thing, I'll ask to wind up, so I'll be winding up. The other thing within tourism is the medical tourism, because medical tourism also has a lot of potential for Northeast, because medical tourism footfall from Bangladesh to India is one of the highest. So we have potential to develop medical tourism in Northeast, and that can be another potential for our Northeast region. So without Bangladesh, we can't think about growing. We want you to prosper, we want to grow, and the spillover effect should be in Northeast. Thank you so much.
Just a moment. We missed that in the beginning. So.
Okay. Hi. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Geetima for highlighting the opportunities so very well. We all know that Jayadhaj Singh's in Assam daughter was married off to a Mughal general, but we did not know that she was finally laid to rest in Dhaka, and that too in Lal Bagh Fort. That's a very interesting insight. Uh, like that, there are many more opportunities. So many. We have a shared heritage, shared culture, and the opportunity for tourism, medical tourism, etc., and are so huge. It's difficult to enumerate all of that in a short time. But you did a wonderful job. Thank you so much. We now have Mr. K.M. Zaman Romel. He is managing director of the People's Group, one of the largest groups in Bangladesh. And he is also president of the uh, oil tanker, oil barge owners association. And they are the people who are moving a lot of oil through the riverways. So his insights would be very, very interesting. Over to you, sir.
Sorry. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. Honorable Chair Dr. Edira Singh, my fellow panelists, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. This is my probably fifth session attending the FICCI connectivity meeting, and that I've been doing it since 2014. And to me, the connectivity is a desire and acceptance by parties. And my previous speaker, she very well said that she has covered everything but left me with a very difficult topic, which is the oil and gas and the energy. And especially in this time of crisis that we are facing in the global spectrum with the war in Ukraine and Russia. The energy security, as our Ambassador Karim has very well said, that we are an energy hungry country, and in many places of India you have got surplus. But due to the distance and some other complexities, it is not that easy to get from you. But you can always explore the possibilities. Assalamu alaikum, Commander Saleh. How are you? So this we can resolve, as it has been very well said, that the people-to-people contact and investment from the private sector can resolve this issue. We have got the desire from Bangladesh, and we need the acceptance from your side. The one thing Director General of the Foreign Ministry has said, that the transport connectivity could not take that kind of pace due to this BBIN, and Bhutan has not yet ratified that charter, but it is going to happen hopefully. But before that, we had bilaterally between Bangladesh and India. We used to drive in, obtaining a small, following a small procedure, and then come back from India. In many occasions, this has been stopped by including this multilateral complications. I think that this has to be resolved, and the more connectivity between the people and the groups and the private sector we have, this kind of session will be successful. The In the country level, we have seen that in our energy, the Indian government has come up with a lot of propositions. We have also explored a lot of our desire, and it has. We went to a point where we agreed, and we are having some good amount of electricity coming from India. We can also explore the possibility of getting the oil that you are importing from Russia at an affordable price, and if that can be shared with us through the currency swap, it would be beneficial for Bangladesh also. That what you're already doing with INR and ruble. Uh, you see, connectivity is not only that we should be talking, but there should be some results. We do have seen good improvement in many of our sectors, especially in the railway. The with from Khulna to West Bengal, the Calcutta, then Dhaka to Calcutta, and some other places. When Dr. Krishna mentioned that she had to come all the way from Guwahati to Kolkata, then to Dhaka, that's not a very good connectivity. That's a complexity, and that we have to address, and we have to solve it. And the only way we can solve is by opening our mind and not to have any kind of ifs and buts in our thoughts. You have to get out of it. You have to come out of it and resolve these issues. We don't want to see that the somebody who has a desire to obtain your medical facility in India has to wait for a longer period of time for visa. The tourist from Bangladesh is quite high in your country till 2020, which has been gone down due to this COVID pandemic, but it is picking up, and it should pick up if we have that kind of desire of facilitating the process of traveling mode, and that need to be done very smoothly and without any hindrance, so that our this desire to have the connectivity vibrant and workable may maintain and continue. So this is what I'm going to say. And then regarding the tourism, we do have lots of good places that you can come and visit, as she said very rightly, in Northeast India, we can easily avail those wonderful places to see by having a very smooth and very less complex transport movement, and that is needed. And in that way we can spread our as I said in my beginning, that the desire and your expectation can be fulfilled. So I will leave it here, because I'm not an academician nor a researcher. I'm not a diplomat nor a civil servant, although I'm a son of a civil servant. I'm a businessman. So I leave it to the rest of the all scholars to conclude the session. Thank you very much, and good to see you all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Romel, for your wonderful speech, for highlighting the key issues, the key agenda as far as connectivity is concerned, and particularly for not only sticking to the timeline, but also giving us some leverage in terms of recovering some of the lost time. Before I invite the next speaker, uh, we are running behind schedule by quite a lot, and I would like to request the speakers to kindly give donate a few minutes from their time and keep it short. Highlight the key points. We have Mr. Pratim Bose. Mr. Pratim Bose is a veteran journalist. He is an expert in the energy sector, and I expect he will be talking on the energy sector. But he has also worked in the Northeast, so I would also expect that he would say something about connectivity.
Thank you. I studied economics and then I hobnobbed too much with business and other things in life, so I couldn't be anything when I became an analyst. I would like to start with Mr. Romel's remark about, because I know this is a political economic issue and there is, it gets media attention that India gets cheap crude in this situation and why can't it pass on? This cannot be done as per international practices. Number one, you cannot do third country trade. Number two is that the companies are taking financial risks to get that cheap crude. And when the product will be sold to you, it will be sold as per the international practices of the product price. That is same around the world. So what India can do is to assure you the supply. And that is the biggest factor in today's world, not the price. That is where the energy security is coming in. For rest of the security, one has to work on the energy transition, widening of baskets, energy choices. So these are the issues that come in. So I'll come back on energy and particularly with Northeast on this. I would like to just start with sensitizing you about what is happening in India. As you must be knowing that roughly 2/3 of the global value chain is concentrated in China, and there has been some redistribution of it. There will be sizable redistribution of it, and there is a migration of investment. You have seen that the global's most valuable company has is shifting to India, and in 5 years of time, every one of the 2 iPhones made in you buy anywhere in the world will be made in India. And this is happening in many other sectors. So I said this because to sensitize you about renewed growth. In India was a service sector giant. The gross value addition suffered because the manufacturing suffered. It was only 18, core manufacturing was only 18% of the GDP as against 46% in China. So this is where the balance is finally coming in. You have a good service sector, you are going to have a good manufacturing sector. So it is a very if everything goes well, and this is not going to be a very long term story, either India can do it or we'll miss the bus. And if you can do it, the next 5 years are India's. With this regard, we are so next about Northeast. This growth is not going to be concentrated in parts of the country. If we see the earlier growth cycle, it was in East, and Northeast was outside it. There are many reasons why. One of the big reasons is infrastructure. What has happened in this country in last decade is India as a nation entirely from one length to other length is now boasting of extremely good infrastructure, or is going to have in just a couple of years. Things are happening at a very fast pace. And the biggest example of this radical shift is the Northeast India. Every discussion ends up with used to end up till a couple of years ago with the infrastructure inadequacy in Northeast. I'm sorry to say that's an old story that has become history. There is no infrastructure depravity in Northeast. The issue is about adding up onto that. And I'm not, just for paucity of time, I'm not getting much into that, just giving you one example. In 2017, Arunachal got its first civil airport. Today they have 4. The weekly flight connectivity to Northeast has doubled, more than doubled, 113% in 8 years. Number of airports doubled. And this is a story with rail, road, wherever you see. I just visited 6 months ago, I was visiting Dauki border with Bangladesh. And if you have visited, you saw the construction going on. Yes, we are a democracy, so there are courts. Courts come with verdicts. Sometimes verdicts are not suitable for us. India had a big shake-up with the coal block reallocation. It happens when you misuse, maybe the policies were wrong, which were policies we take, and these were corrected. So when, in Meghalaya, some coal mining is disrupted, it is because some policies were not right, and these are being brought to shape. So there will be some interim shifts, that. What we need, or the Northeast needs, is to focus, same everywhere, Northeast, and I'm talking about the states side and Bangladesh side, is that focus on the last mile connectivity side. This is exactly what I noticed even in Dauki. And talking about tourism, when you talk about tourism, I know big things about tourism, but let's start from the scratch. The big thing that is missing in the Northeast or in Bangladesh or in this part of the world is that, we love to talk on big things. We don't look at the ground. low-hanging fruits. I don't know how many of you are aware, Dauki has become a tourist spot. And do you know, the people who are they will take you in that river, which is quite got a huge popularity as the cleanest river. So all those people, the boatmen and everything, those who sell you some dried fish, right? All these are Bangladeshis. They come in the daytime and sell. What I was, if it was left to me, I would have simply converted the border outpost into a border hut. Every day, shopping plaza. Come and shop. And it will be, because there are resorts coming up just 20 kilometers ahead of the border. The highway is getting huge, wide highway. So where is the, let's tap it where the business is. Let's not talk about where the business is not there. Let me quickly move to, for your sake, quickly move into the core issue of energy. There is no better person than Mr. Phukan to talk about it, and he only spoke from NRL point of view. Northeast is going to, the Northeast prosperity, one of the big contributor will be the energy sector. So far, it was nothing. Northeast, from henceforth, the entire refining capacity of the region is getting doubled. Okay, and export will be the avenue. And where will they export? Will they export to USA? So it is the region. It is the region that should grow. So there is a need for them to export. There is a need from Bangladesh for its energy security. Energy security, I once again mentioned, it is not about price. It is about energy choices. And it is about the assurance. So what has happened in the Northeast is the Northeast region, a national gas grid has finally come up in India. And in Northeast, every state is getting connected by pipe natural gas network. It is not about home gas. It is about the natural gas for industrial use. So the energy options in the Northeast has increased. Infrastructure and connectivity has increased. These two are the prime macroeconomic factors for business, growth of business. And this is happening. On the service side, healthcare got a huge boost. It is now meeting the domestic demand. But I know at least one company, a startup from Assam, they are into low-cost eye care, and they are trying to expand into Bangladesh. So there is a huge healthcare export opportunity that is opening up in the Northeast. Part of it has already started happening. Imphal is a big medical tourism sector for Myanmar. So this is, I say that Northeast from henceforth, given the support, it is perfectly poised. If the state governments are rightly acting, it is perfectly poised to attract investment. So the opportunities for Bangladesh are not limited only in trade. It has to think in terms of investing. Second and last, now coming to the wider issue of energy. So just to add, sorry about the oil trade, the pipeline, India-Bangladesh pipeline is the biggest thing that has happened, to my mind. Because a pipeline is what you might have heard, India and Nepal had a lot of issues in the past whenever there was a strike. And strikes are always political. It is organized protest. They used to sit on the at the road, blocking the way for the truck, and it is just taking ransom, the whole situation. It will not happen anymore, because now oil goes into the Nepal by pipeline. So if you talk in terms of energy security, now the issue is merely a domestic issue of Nepal. No more about international issues. So pipeline is the greatest thing, and it should be pushed, because India, as you know, the entire country is pipelined. What it helps is to give you, that 1% of my petrol or diesel will be lost in transit, period. You know about your maintenance costs. So we can make the costs quantifiable. What happens in other forms of transport is, with the petroleum and energy products, is that costs are not quantifiable and the pilferage takes place. Finally, about the other important issue of electricity. Northeast, till now, till a month ago, it was electricity deficit. India had less than 1% electricity peak deficit. Peak deficit means the maximum peak you touch in a day and the maximum, both on supply demand. So India has some around 0.8% peak deficit, 0.5, 0.8. Assam had 1.5% last year. Now, this story is going to be over by June 2023. There were some hydel projects for ages. It was proposed and the work was going on, one brick here, one brick there, and it was not moving. And things are now happening. Coming hydropower of 600 megawatt has come in by June. We are having Lower Subansiri of 2000 megawatt. This is also hydel. And 500 megawatt will be in place by June 2023. The rest of the units will come phase-wise. The next power project is being pushed at is Dibang. That is 2,800 megawatt. Now, the story here is very interesting. Is that this power is to be put into the system. Now, through the chicken neck, we have some 5 or 6 single circuit lines. Single circuit means one cable or one transmission line is carried by a pole, so transmission tower. So having done so, it's only a maximum 40-kilometer wide strip. So what happened is that there is a congestion. We have to convert this. There are technological solutions of multi-circuit lines, and probably we will do this. But immediately for next 5 years, there is an opportunity for Bangladesh to join with India in establishing a grid. Now, here comes a very critical question. Issue is that I disagree with Ambassador Karim is about taking politics into confidence. No, it is a much bigger issue than that. You have to put science, because that electricity flow, market, then politics, and last and most important issue of security. Electricity infrastructure is a security issue. Now, what does it mean by a synchronized grid? I don't know how many people in this hall are aware that there are some synchronized grids in the world, like one you have in the Western Europe, one you have between America and USA. And do you know which one is among the oldest cross-border electricity grid? India, Bhutan. It is a synchronized grid. A synchronized grid means you put a pipeline, you need water this side, so you send water from this side, you need water this side, and you can just do the reverse. But the operationalization is much more difficult because both the system will have to run on the same code. There will be a single authority. When it is India, Bhutan, so India says what is to be done and what not to be done. So it has to be secured. Because if one side acts like a madman, the entire country will blow up. Now, here comes the issue, is that we have to, Bangladesh has issues. Every country has. India's national grid is one of the best. If you may remember, after the 2004 blackout in USA, actually US studied Indian national grid. So the issue of having a common code, issue of creating institutional capacity, which will dictate, and the countries will take that. Sorry? Yeah, I am. I'm just at the last point. So these are to be done, and I think we can, but this window will last to the region for 5 years, because if suppose Bangladesh is not ready, then what will happen? India has to find an alternative. Has to find an alternative of taking that power. They will do something or the other. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bose. I wish we had the luxury of time to pick your mind more. But whatever you have shared, I think that's very helpful. We will all live with a greater understanding of the issues related to energy security. Thank you. Now we have a young researcher from the Bangladesh International Institute of Strategic Studies, Mr. Rafid Abrar Miah. So he has done a lot of work on governance issues, etc. And he's going to talk to us about economic connectivity and other issues. Over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. So it has always been challenging being the last speaker. Most topics are covered. Most people remain hungry, and hungry men are angry men. So it's difficult to stand in front. Sorry?
You are not the last speaker, but go ahead.
Yes, man. So whenever Bangladesh, we talk about anything related to economy or integration about Bangladesh, India comes forth. Since that back then, the independence in 1971 till today, India has been our trusted friend and friendly neighbor, and one of the very few countries have the luxury to enter to their neighbor into 3 different ways. So I think Bangladesh is lucky. So there are lots of issues whenever we talk about India and Bangladesh collaboration. I mean, we can talk about from bilateral lens, we can talk about from regional lens, and whenever we talk about, there are 4 things more or less comes in front. That is trade, then energy, then connectivity, and then the tourism. Most of the things has been covered, so I will not dig down much. So let me talk about the energy. I mean, the economy like Bangladesh, which is going to be a transition phase, which has faced the dual graduation from lower income to lower middle income country, going to be graduated from LDC to developing country in the coming years. So energy became a lifeline of such economies. So given the evolving global order, energy security has become a issue that concerns economies like us. What data says that northeast region of India has 63,000 megawatt capacity and potential for hydropower energy, and mostly 90% of that is untapped. Ambassador Karim sir and other the former Eastern High Commissioner of India has already mentioned that we need to look into that fact. We need to try to tap that potential for our own sake. And whenever we talk about the value chain thing, we need to rethink about our energy sustainability, because we know the sustainable development thing, and we cannot just ignore the environmental aspect for the sake of our own economic growth. And I was seeing the motto, the ecology is economy, and I liked it very much. So whenever we talk about the sustainability, whenever we talk about the green growth, the idea of energy is important. That can, I think, one of the major places where Bangladesh and northeastern region can collaborate to a greater extent. About tourism, the DG Foreign Ministry sir has already mentioned about the tourism circuit. So I would like to take it from there, that how can the tourism circuit may look like. For example, a tourist from the West, he or she is coming to the country, and with one singular visa, with one singular passport, he can visit both the northeastern region and the Bangladeshi places. So that will help accelerate the pace of the tourism, and that will help attract the Western and other citizens and tourists from this beyond this region, and that can help developing the tourism sector in this region, both in northeast India and both in Bangladesh. So that can be one of the major places where both the region can collaborate. About the treatment tourism, which is also coming, that I think that there should be initiative from the northeastern region to run for any different sort of public diplomacy, because whenever we think about the treatment, what comes in my mind? Go to Tata Memorial, go to the Chennai or Bangalore, but there are state-of-the-art level hospitals in Northeast region. I was just Googling yesterday, and I found that they are just excellent. That why just we do not know? Because of the information asymmetry. That thing can only be reduced through public diplomacy, and if that can be done, this place also will be highly explored. About the One of the important thing I found that was broadly missing in today's discussion so far was the border hut, the people-to-people connectivity. Border hut is such a um, uh, rough and ready market which formalize the informal economy. Whenever we formalize the informal economy, the people-to-people connectivity increases. Whenever people-to-people connectivity increases, other than the state-level diplomacy, then bondage among the people increases. And whenever the bondage among the people increases, theoretically, what we see, the pace of growth increases much. So the idea of border hut can also be considered, and idea of border hut can also be accelerated to a larger extent to increase the connectivity between northeastern region and Bangladesh. So I think there are positive of time, and we are running out of time. So I would like to limit my speech within these 3 points, and I think the decision makers present here will take the notes and they will look into the facts I have mentioned. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much for reiterating some of the points and for your suggestions. I think we'll take it forward. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Bhaskar Jyoti Phukan, MD of the Numaligarh Refineries Limited.
I already have. Thank you. Very good afternoon, and I am speaking for the second time. Previous session also I spoke. I don't wish to prolong whatever I need to discuss. I thank Dr. Geetima and also Mr. Bose to make my job easier. Bose has already covered most of the issues that I intended to respond to. Only thing I leave this audience with that there is no free lunch in the world actually. See, when you get energy, you have to get in the right price. Nobody should get benefited. We are contiguous countries. Some benefits will naturally accrue, and the most benefit, Mr. Bose has already told, is the security of supplies. So this is what we are going to achieve. Let us move. We have identified the difficulties that we have. Highest level has already agreed, G2G. Otherwise, also private players can also come. But let us move the machinery to fall in line so that we have a seamless export connectivity, and energy security will be the beneficiary for that. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. May we now have Mr. Santanu Saikia, General Manager of Oil India Limited, for a short intervention.
Good evening. My name is Santanu Saikia, you already know, and I hope that you have already understood very well what are the connectivity problems exist between our countries. So I will not elaborate anything on these issues. I think my previous speakers has already elaborated, and you have already received lots of information about the connectivity problems. What I have observed is that everything is growing in this area. Our economy is growing, our population is growing, our energy demand is also growing, and the uneven distribution of resources is also growing. And due to the political barriers, we are unable to access the resources available in our neighboring countries. Whenever this happens, we always look to the far-fetched nations like US, UK, or Europe for help. But we never look to each other for helping each other to resolve the energy demands or energy problems. So I have only two suggestions. We, while making the policies, each of the nations can take this into consideration. the needs of the neighboring nations. Suppose India is making a policy on energy, then whatever difficulties right now we are facing is due to the policy framework, difference in policy frameworks of both the countries. So if we can make a standardized policy compatible to each other's needs, then this might help in future. And I would also like to request to take this energy thing out of the political issues, and energy should be treated as a separate commodity, commodity for the better goods of the people in the region. That is what I want to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I think those suggestions were very well taken, but taking politics out of energy, I think that's a dream which I don't know when it will be fulfilled. Uh, Now we move on to the next session, which will be chaired by General Sahani. Sir, the general has a long connection in the north with the northeast. In fact, if you remember, sir, the first time I met you, you were commanding 3 Corps in Dimapur, and he knows a lot about northeast connectivity with Bangladesh and the issues involved. So over to you, sir.